if you're going to do it now, because this is what people want and this is what people need. Our job is to serve. And so serving in small retreat is just wonderful.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful to share with you an amazing guest, Sheri Rosenthal. She is I was telling my wife Deb today that I am meeting with, if not the top, one of the top retreat, leaders out there in terms of like how to put them together, how to design it, etc. It's all the different ins and outs, literally all the ins and outs to do a retreat. So you want to know from the absolute expert, I want to say, in the field, you're in the right place. And trust me, I got my questions. I'm ready to find out more. I've done retreats, but I have tons of questions. So, Sheri, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Daniel. I'm really excited for this interview. We're going to have fun, so let's get to it.
Awesome. Let me just share briefly with everybody a little bit about you. Sheri Rosenthal is the founder and chief retreat strategist at Wanderlust Entrepreneur, where she helps heart-centered entrepreneurs create transformational, profitable retreats. With over 2 decades of experience in the retreat industry, she's had the honor of working with top names, including Don Miguel Ruiz, author of the Four Agreements, guiding thousands of coaches and healers to run retreats that change lives. She's trained over 15,000 retreat leaders to design, price, promote, and monetize transformational retreats that leave a lasting impact while traveling the world and earning a profit to be proud of. She's also the CEO of Journeys of the Spirit, a boutique agency that has planned and managed over 1,000 retreats worldwide since 2003. And I know that's a whole lot of work that's been put into that. Wow. All the transformation that's happened at those retreats is phenomenal. I can feel it on top of all the people you've helped to do their own, right? So,
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, listen, retreats are something, again, I've offered people, and they've been amazing to do. I've been to some really cool retreats over the years, and it can be so transformational. I mean, for me, silent meditation has been probably my most favorite powerful retreat as far as my transformation. I would say, one of the, and I've had other ones that have been more like, man, the people we connected with was amazing, and the love that you experience, and then the high level teachers. Sometimes people gather a bunch of teachers at the retreats, and what you can gain all one room is in live, like you can be right there with them. It's just not online, where we zoom out sometimes, but with so much energy. So yeah, the retreats are absolutely phenomenal. So what is it that got you into what got you into doing this whole thing? You've heard this question many times. We need to hear again though. What got you into this whole retreat space?
So, to give the skivvy in the shortest amount of time, I used to practice medicine. I was a podiatrist, and I wanted to leave medicine and do something else. I didn't know what to do, but I sold my practice and I saw there was a retreat being given by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I signed up, and it was life changing. Literally turned my life around 180 degrees. And
Mm.
so I studied with him for 8 years. And during that time, I ran his business for 2 years. And so I ran all of his retreats, which was the best. So I went on every single retreat that he had. And I don't know where my life would be without those retreats. So I am very passionate about them. So in 2003, I started my own travel agency to run my retreats through, and I taught the four agreements until 2014, when I created Wanderlust Entrepreneur, because we had been managing retreats. Like I said, like you said, we've been doing over 1,000 of them. managing them, and I saw that a lot of them didn't fill. And so I realized retreat leaders needed help in understanding how to design, price, promote, and monetize them. And that's how Wanderlust Entrepreneur got created. And
Mhm.
so that's where my passion is right now, because every retreat leader that fills their retreat, lives are changed, right? So as you
Right.
can now imagine, I'm reaching a lot more people and they're having a lot more success in their filling their retreats and making a livelihood from them. So it's like the best thing for me ever.
Right, right. Yeah, I know that that is there's so many questions that go into the idea of doing retreats. Where am I going to do my retreat? How much money is it going to cost me to run one? How am I going to fill it? What will we do at it? Should I have other co-facilitators? Should I do it with someone else? Should I do it with a
Yeah.
group? Should I? Oh my God, it goes on and on. So many different questions. And so even those of us who download guidance, like sometimes feel lost because there's seemingly so many things to consider in the equation sometimes, right? So where does someone get started in evaluating if doing a retreat as part of offering a retreat as part of their business model makes sense or not? Like what are the things to consider?
Well, first of all, I think we're in an excellent time for running retreats. I mean, we came off of the pandemic. People went through major changes. In the United States, there's plenty of political hoo-ha going on. It's stressful for people. People want to be with like-minded community. You know, the pandemic made them really realize how important community is. And
Mhm.
so live events, transformational travel, because I'm a travel agency too, I can tell you transformational travel and wellness travel, all of that, experiential travel, number one growing sector of the travel business. So if you're going to do it now, because this is what people want and this is what people need. Our job is to serve. And so serving in small retreat is just wonderful because people get that attention, they get the love, they get the support. It's a small enough group to be able to make some lifetime friends for many. Certainly, the people
Mhm.
I met on my retreats, they're actually all the coaches in my business. They're my
Mhm.
family and my friends and my everything. So the community you get during these retreats is not replaceable. So now is the time. And it's part of what you do in your business. So you may have some online courses, you may do some workshops, you might do some retreats, you might do some larger live events from the stage. There's certainly many ways of reaching your audience. This is just one of them. But I think there's so many ways to do retreats. Like, for example, when I taught the four agreements, I made it part of my year-long apprenticeship program. So
Mhm.
retreats were actually built in. So if someone joined the program, they knew they were coming on that retreat. So the retreat was sold. I didn't have to worry about
Yeah.
selling it. So there's many formulations and ways of doing this. And yeah, I think everybody should be doing retreats and offering them to their communities, whether they're an author or, you know, a coach of some kind, or even if, for example, a lot of people in our community aren't coaches per se, but for example, we have people who do knitting retreats or wine retreats or retreats for post-cancer breast cancer women. So it may not be so much like they're teaching something, but they're facilitating conversations, and they may even have an expert come in and teach something. So you don't have to be the coach yourself.
Mhm.
You can
Mhm.
have somebody else also come in who specializes in whatever it is you want to share. That's possible too.
Yeah, yeah, the endless possibilities for sure.
Mhm.
So yeah, I imagine there's a lot of people if they haven't even there's different categories. There's people are maybe in business are like, oh yeah, that's great. I've been thinking about doing a retreat and they're listening today, right? So they're all in and want to learn, how do I do it? What's the thing? Why would this be a good idea and how I'm going to do it? Then you got people maybe who questioning it. Got other people who have done them, but maybe they didn't go so well, or maybe they have gone well, but they wonder if they should continue to do them. Am I going to scale with retreats? Or, you got people all different spectrums maybe listening in, or they already do retreats. They want to learn more from you, right? I do pretty well already, but I want to learn more, right? So you got like I know people that's the foundation of their whole thing. They just do retreats and then they fill their programs. Like, yeah, the retreat 7,500, then we got a $75,000 program and everything's filling, like, and people would think,
Exactly.
what? Who are they? There must be taking millionaires in and stuff, but I don't think so. I don't think it's, some of them probably are really wealthy, but like not all of them. I mean, it's just they've built a really strong, compelling like brand message or whatever I want to say. And that's what brings people in is the idea that's behind the retreat, right? So there's so many, you're right, there's so many different ways to play, right? This retreat game. For me, I've used it as a front door offer, but honestly, most of the people that would come were usually people that knew me already or were doing other
Yes.
programs with me, right? And so they would come and then we would have amazing times together. And then I always found it to be super easy because they're existing clients and we're highly connected. And then if the people had not worked with me before, they're in this highly connected, highlight this is so awesome and our facilitator's awesome or whatever kind of vibe that it was easy to encourage the next step. Like, hey, we could be doing this. We're having fun today, right? Like, we could keep having fun and let's do this thing. So, I mean, I
Exactly.
think there's a lot of that's all like the benefit side of it too. So, but I just wonder, like, seeing as there are so many possibilities, how do you help people determine, like, how, if they're like, let's say they say, okay, I'm going to do a retreat. How do they decide, like, how to strategically, energetically bring them into their business? How do you help people with that?
Well, we have a process, basically, Daniel. So we take people first through the process of understanding who they want to serve and what is the outcome going to be of the retreat. Because it isn't just bringing people together, there has to be a promise, right? By the end of this retreat, what is going to happen? So people understand the value, which is why a lot of retreats don't sell. There's no promise. People are like, oh, I'm going to run a retreat, but they haven't thought out what people are going to walk away with. So that's why you have
Mhm.
to know who your audience is, what problems they have, what problems you want to solve on that retreat, and then how are you going to continue the journey with them? Because for me, if you only have the retreat and there's no follow up, then it's as if you're abandoning people in their process of transformation because they had this revelation, let's say, on the retreat. And then what? They have to go home and face their life alone. So the idea is to make sure your retreats have continuity. That's the best way to do them, although not everyone does that, but I think it's a lovely thing to do. So once you're clear on your ideal audience and you understand what the promise of the retreat is going to be, then you can decide on the location. And for us, we believe in matching the location to what you're teaching. So, for example, someone may say, oh, I want to go on a cruise and take my people on a cruise. But if your material doesn't align with a cruise, it doesn't make sense. For example, let's say you're teaching people how to speak from the stage. Wouldn't it be better, instead of going on a cruise, than to take them to a beautiful place in Europe that has outdoor amphitheater where you can have your people stand there and speak in the, where the ancient people orated. So it's about aligning, or you teach about essential oils. Wouldn't you rather be somewhere where they're harvesting the plant matter and seeing the whole distillation process? Or if you're doing a knitting retreat, wouldn't you rather be in New Zealand when they shear the sheeps and then, take care of, what do you call it? What they do with the wool and then turn, spinning it into
Mhm.
thread
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
having their own material that they made and make a sweater from that. So when you do that, when you align what you're teaching with what you are sharing, the alignment factor makes the retreat very experiential, which is different than, let's say, a workshop. I'm not saying a workshop can't be transformational. Of course it can, but not in the same way as a retreat because it's very experiential with the location. And so that would be factor number two. Then the next thing is pricing it. So you have to decide what the price point range you want to be in is.
Mhm.
So a lot of people will say, "Oh, Sheri, I want to do a retreat to Bali. How much should I charge?" That for me is the absolute worst question you can ask. It really
Sure.
lets me know that the person is not educated in pricing a retreat because hard costs are hard costs. Your plane flight is your plane flight. The room and the food is what it is. And all of the costs involved with your retreat, like if you have activities and transportation, it is what it is. You can't change
Right.
that. So don't ask me how much a trip to Bali is because you can
Yeah.
stay in huts or you can stay
Right.
in a five-star luxury resort. So
Right.
first you need to know like where you want to end up based on your own community. And so once you have that, you could say, "Oh, I want to stay at a three-star place." Fine. Now you may find a cute little boutique place in Bali that's perfect for you. And then your net profit is not what's left over at the end. Your net profit is what you put in as a line item in your pricing so that the total price, you know what you're going to net per person, you know exactly what the cost is to the penny. I always make it a game when I do a retreat. Do I come out exactly to the penny as to what I am estimated so that my net profit is exactly what I expected? So pricing is really important. And then the marketing, how are you marketing this? Because it takes, let's say, a year to fill a retreat, especially an international one, because people have to plan for that. So during that time, how are you growing your community so you can fill your retreat? A lot of people stick their retreats up on those websites that have retreat listings. Well, you could get a problem participant that way because they maybe are coming on your retreat because you were doing it in Bali, not because of what you teach and share. So the know, like, and trust factor is critical on retreats because it's small. You have one bad person on your retreat and it shifts the energy. And, you're there to hold space for this transformation. And then you have a PETA on your trip. So
Mhm.
that becomes a problem. And so you want to make sure that the people who come on your retreat aren't random people. I personally prefer to only have participants that know, like, and trust me. So that is very important, growing your list and, continuing to put yourself out on social media and having an actual marketing plan for your retreat. That's important. You got to market it and fill it. So that's the marketing part. And then the monetizing part is, as we talked about, how are you, continuing to serve these people? How are you monetizing retreat? Because yeah, you can make, let's say, $20,000, 50,000, $100,000 on your retreat. And then you can make an equal amount on what you sell afterwards. And people normally want to continue. So that's like the path that we follow in all of our programs so that people work their way through. And like with the promotion, we feel very strongly about a really good retreat sales page that puts people into the experience and that answers all their concerns like a sales page should, and shares about the food and about the experience and about the rooms. And so it's very inclusive, and
Mhm.
that is really important too. Sometimes people can't sell a retreat because the sales page just sucks. It doesn't
Yeah.
express what they're going to walk away with. You can't just say, "Join me in Bali for my trip. I'm giving $100 discount if you join by this date." Like, it doesn't. So what? There's a
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
retreats out there now. Even
Right.
hotels are doing them because they also know that transformational travel is number one in the travel industry. So they want to hop on the market too. So now you've got retreat leaders doing it, and you have venues also running their own retreats. So we need to be
Right.
savvy and a step ahead
Right. Right.
as educated retreat leaders.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
I think that's really cool that that's the hottest part of travel right now. I wouldn't have known that. I mean, I was kind of wondered like are people traveling at the same level they used to? And what that sounds like it's getting hotter than ever. So that's really fantastic. I mean, of course, I am always hearing about people going off on retreats. But I kind of wondered about that. So that answers that question. It's stronger than ever, and because it's funny, we have to keep telling people that these things too, because I know
Yeah.
there's somebody listening in that's going to hear that and be like, yeah, but I wonder if it would fill these days after COVID, even after we just said it like 5 times, right? There, it's hotter than ever. Like,
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
yes,
Believe me, hotels are not getting into this because they feel like it.
right.
They do market research,
Mhm.
unlike retreat leaders who don't really know how to do that. But I can tell you they do their market research. And we know in the travel industry, because we can see what's selling. And this is what's selling right now, and this is why so many hotels are jumping on the bad bandwagon.
Are you, do you feel that retreats are taking off like more so than anything else in terms of like it used to be what was big when I got into the industry back in the 2000s was you're going to run a live event. We're going to get 100 people in a room. You're going to sell X percent. You're going to sell it at 97. They get their money back once they get there. We're going to sell $5,000 packages or whatever it is, and we're going to make all this money. But, a lot of times, like those events, like they cost 200 grand or something, like some of the bigger ones, right? They cost 200, that probably more than that now, but like 200 grand, some of them take, hundreds of people to serve 200 grand to do the event. And then you better hope it hits, right? Otherwise, you basically gave the event away practically. Now
Yes.
you have all the pressure. You've got to close. And then people wonder why there's such hard asses on the close because it's like survival. We need people in the program, right?
Yes. Okay. So right now, Daniel, what you
Yeah.
just said is an important point. I
Yeah.
personally do not believe that a retreat should be a loss leader, because
Mhm.
that's really what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
charging a low amount to get people
Mhm.
in a room so that you can sell them a higher end thing.
Mhm.
That's a loss leader. Retreats are not loss leaders. You need to totally price them correctly, make your proper amount of money from them, and also an offer. That way you are relaxed, your offer is very natural. People
Mhm.
feel the energy of that. They want to
Mhm.
continue because they enjoyed the retreat so much, and the
Mhm.
people who were on the retreat with them, who they're now friends with. So that is a totally different formulation. I've
Yeah,
done that, what you're exactly talking about. And
right,
it
right,
is very expensive, especially now, because it doesn't matter if you fill that room or not. You're in that contract with the hotel, and you need to
right,
pay for those rooms and for everything, food and beverage
yeah,
contract that you have to fulfill that. Now, not to say you don't have that with a retreat, but normally you have a smaller number of rooms. You're
right,
committed to, let's say, sell to 10 people. It's more
right,
manageable, and
right,
you've priced it correctly, so you're walking away with a profit.
right,
And then whatever you sell on the back end is fantastic, and it takes
right.
all the stress away. So that is really, really important.
Yeah, that's what I really love about what you're saying is because that was the mindset. Like, don't even think about making money on the event. You hope to break even, on maybe even a loss, like you said. So with this, it's like, no, you're actually can be making the 20, 50, 100,000
Yeah.
on the retreat itself. And then you get to see about people
Yep.
taking a further step, and you can whatever. And the numbers could be, honestly, the numbers can be much more even on that level, right? I mean,
Correct.
mhm,
Depends on what your upsell is. Some people just have some private coaching, some people, whatever it is that they
yeah,
do and sell. Some have a membership program and people
mhm,
join that. And so or some people have a high-end mastermind that's, 30 or 40,000 for the year.
mhm,
So it just depends. There's no right or wrong. It's just to
mhm.
understand that you do want to further support your people because it's a benefit for you and it's a benefit for them.
Right. Now, I would think most people are listening in, this would make sense. The idea of doing a retreat is something that would intrigue them. I think, the objection could be like an objection I could have, even though I've done retreats, is hey, listen, because after what happened, let's talk about this because you get this conversation a lot too, I'm sure. Listen, after the pandemic, we found out like doing like Zoom events actually is way low cost and converts even better than in person. So why are we bothering with all the expense and hassle of traveling and all the risk and everything? So like if somebody's like objection, I've figured it out doing these Zooms and I don't need retreats and it's all too risky or something. I'm sure people have brought that up when they are just as a concern, right? So how would you respond to someone that says, this seems to work a lot better. I just do this thing on Zooms.
Okay, great question. And I can absolutely answer that. So during the pandemic, we actually had people do retreats online, but full out retreats. Like, for example, we even did one
Uh-huh.
where the woman who co-taught with me, she went outside in the winter, created a big fire, and we all had a ceremony with that big fire. And she had her computer sitting on a chair filming the entire thing on Zoom that everyone participated in. You'd be surprised what you could do online. So
Mm,
it's not just an online event. Look, I do them. We have our big yearly online event coming up in May. And so that is online. And yes, we do well on that event.
mhm,
However, it is not the same as being in community. That is the difference. You can still make friends. You can still have a wonderful time. I'm not saying you can't. There's something about being in person where someone is going through a process and someone is holding them at the same time, a
mhm,
hug, love, or having someone
mhm.
stand up and be acknowledged by a group, and part of a ceremony. There, it's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
There's not the same thing as being in person. So there's nothing wrong with what you just said. Why not have like an online event for people who can't travel but would love to have that experience and also have some things in person so that your business is balanced? You have some online, you have some in person. And I think that is actually the best way to do it.
Awesome. So I'm sure, yeah, you have many businesses you know of that are doing it that way, that do it online and they have their in
Yep.
person. I would think like the in person, from my experience of it, is extra good at um getting people to deepen like I'm thinking from the business angle because I'm one of those weird healer people. Like I think about the business because I'm into a business
Of
coach
course.
and all that stuff, right? I'm thinking all the business stuff, right? So from a business aspect, it's like what I'm thinking is you build deeper bonds, when you meet people in person where you get increasingly will have people want to follow you for life, and want to
Yes.
come to all your events, right? So that's the
Yep.
power of being in person, I believe, on a business
Yes.
level, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
is no substitute for that, Daniels. And so I that's why I recommend people look at the structure of their business, like how are they bringing in money? And so, yes, an online event, like when I compare, for example, I have a trip going the end of August. It's a retreat mastermind. It's going to Croatia. I rented a private yacht. That was expensive. I have the whole yacht. And so, yes, it costs money, but the people who come on that yacht, it's going to be an amazing mastermind, an amazing experience. We're going to go up the coast from like Dubrovnik to Split and back, and they'll get to swim and have fun, and all the food's included, and the alcohol's included, everything's included, and they're going to come away with great actionable tips. So that is one way of doing it. And then, like I said, we have our big online event. The 5,000 people come to that online,
Wow.
but
Mm-hmm.
they're not the same.
Right.
But
Right.
both have great promises. Like people will walk
Mm-hmm.
away with so much information and great
Right.
stuff from the online event for putting together
Mm-hmm.
retreats and what's hot right now and all of that, and what are the legalities and the legal
Mm-hmm.
forms they need and all that stuff, which we talk about. And the in-person retreat on the yacht is going to be a totally different, wonderful, bonding, juicy, huggy um, experience. So there you are, two different offerings in the business that are two different experiences.
Yeah, I mean the joy and the fun and the love you experience being in person with people that you probably already have been meeting online, undoubtedly, right?
Yeah.
Talking to online
Mhm.
is just the best to be like, hey, hugs and all that stuff, right? And here we are. Wow, this is going to be an amazing retreat. Everybody's like so pumped up and so happy to be together and yeah, I mean the bonds I've made with people through being in person, yeah, they're just unbreakable. Like you can't build bonds like that just, meeting with people online,
No.
not consistently, maybe here and there, but not much. So yeah, I mean yeah, there is nothing replacing that 100%. So that's fantastic. But people I mean, have a lot of questions, I'm sure. I mean, I was thinking of this one question. I'm like, listen, I even have boot camp online stuff in my programs and stuff. So, what if I was doing a boot camp? That doesn't lend itself to a retreat, does it? Or I'm like thinking all the ways, like, who wouldn't at a retreat? Because I'm actually, if I'm honest, like, I'm looking at like how it wouldn't make sense for somebody, maybe, because honestly, it makes so much sense for anybody. It's a heart-based coach, entrepreneur, trainer, healer, whatever, like it's a no-brainer. I mean, to consider it
Yep.
for sure, at least at a minimum. Everybody, I mean, yeah, no, I'm only boot camp kind of person. Like it's all okay. I don't know, maybe that's the one exception. I don't know. Even that we could argue, right? So, but I feel that what do you find? What you're the one that knows all this stuff. So what do you see as like the biggest objection people come up against when because maybe they get excited, I'm going to do your course and now I'm going to think about doing a retreat, and then they get in the middle of the process like, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to do it. And like, what are the fears, what are the doubts, the concerns about doing these retreats that tend to stop people? Because somebody might get excited like, yeah, I'm going to do it, I got this or whatever, but what stops them often?
Well, like for people who are doing a retreat for the first time, unless they have a really good list, I normally don't recommend they go internationally because normally there's a lot more costs involved. But
Mhm.
you do have to put a deposit with a venue. Now, there's
Mhm.
some tricks that we teach to go around that
Mhm.
that are sneaky. So, but
Mhm.
the deposit is something that often will make people a little nervous if they don't have a list of people or a following on social media. So they want to make sure that they do fill the event. And so what I always say to that is, I know you want 10 people on your retreat, but why don't you just make the retreat for 5 people, just assume 5. You can always get more rooms, but price it for a smaller number of people that you can get. You can, in a
Right.
year, can you dig up 5 people? I think you can. I mean,
Right. In
that's
a whole year. Come
yeah,
on.
I mean, you're
Right.
gonna find some people,
Right.
right? So that is playing it safe. Like we teach all kinds of ways of being safe on the
Mhm.
back end so that those fears that people have about putting deposits down and being nervous about filling, and we go through all of that in our courses so that I don't want people to take unnecessary risks. I want them to be successful.
Right.
So that's why we go over all of that so that you have all the tricks and you know what to do. And if you have a big community and you want to go international, yes, of course. We have all the tools for that. And so we also, because we have the travel agency, for some people, they don't want to manage the
Mhm.
retreat or do any of the behind the scenes, especially if it's international. Our travel company does retreat management, so we can do that also. So if people are a little concerned about having all that work to do, yeah. But
Right.
even in our courses, Daniel, we have a process that as they go through figuring out their ideal client and what the ideal client wants, it generates text for the sales page. So
Mhm.
all of it fits together perfectly and it makes the process so much easier. So yeah, they would
Mhm.
be fine. I mean, I think the other thing is that's unusual is our signature course that we have is
Mhm.
forever coaching. So, like, for example, people who join 5 years from now, if they do a retreat, they can still post their sales page in the Facebook group, and we will go over it with a fine-tooth comb and go, this needs to
Wow.
be changed, this needs
It's
to be
amazing.
changed. Yes.
Mhm.
So it's very unusual for an online course to have forever coaching. So
Mhm.
we have 2 calls a month that they can come on and ask questions. So
Mhm.
that works out really well. It's very protective. So, for example, we've had people have problems in the middle of a retreat and come in the group and go, oh my God, I have a problem. I have a difficult participant, or I have
Mhm.
this problem with the hotel. What do I do? So we are there. We're there. And it's very comforting. So all of those, oh my God, I'm afraid of this, that, or the other thing. It's nice because you have us to, get through whatever crazy happens on your retreat.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've all, if anybody who's listening has been to a retreat, you probably saw problems at the retreat in terms of like something come up. Now, I'm sure you went to ones where that didn't happen, but it does happen. So it's good to
Course.
have like somebody have your back for that. That's
Yeah.
really great because that is something it can really oh my God, have I seen some stuff at times, and obviously most of them go fine, but especially as you get more and more people together, right? Oh, now more and more possibilities for good and craziness too that shows up. And a lot
Yep.
of it can be diffused with proper training. Like I tend to be a good person at diffusing situations. I'm like, okay, let's, whatever, I smooth it out. And but like some people, yeah, they're just like, man, I'm lost. I don't know how to deal with this, right? So
Yes.
having someone like you on their side is really helpful if
Yeah.
that were to come up. So, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about doing a retreat with somebody, and then what you just said was really helpful. You said, we'll just set it for 5 even, like because one of my concern was, okay, we're doing one together, and then we're setting this number, and I'm like, oh my God, but what if we don't reach the number and all that? And like something simple, like set the number really low, okay, to start with, and you can always build it up, and just pick the appropriate venue because some venues will be like, yeah, we can put you in a broom closet for that if you want, but we're really designed for more people than that. So you have to pick the right venue too if you're getting started. I think not to, because there's places where, okay, the minimum you're gonna have to spend whatever amount, right? Some bigger amount. and other places it's a lot easier, a lot lower cost to do, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, so I would say like if I were advising somebody just based on a little, you know, it should go to you 100% me. But like I'm saying, like, if I were advising some based just on what you said, I'd be like, well, you know, try out a retreat and also consider like long term, you could keep building your numbers, you build your list and this and that, and you're going to learn a lot and just start small and then think long term. Don't worry about filling a big retreat right away. And, you know,
Exactly.
start small, right? Like I think that's such great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that really is helpful. So I appreciated that tip. I
My
mean,
pleasure.
yeah, it's just something that easy. I mean, so what is it that there are so many things to consider. I mean, I remember doing retreats where you know, there'd be you know, okay, we got snakes back in the trails, there's animals that could attack you and everything, and then you're signing all these waivers, right? Like I recognize this, or you know, it's my fault if I'm on the trail and I fall over and break my neck or whatever like that. So yeah, getting those agree I think that's another thing that he said is key is making sure I'm sure there's a lot of people that worry about it when they have ceremonies or medicine ceremonies and stuff like I mean,
Hmm.
all kinds of interesting things can happen with
Yeah,
those
you
things.
have to have legal forms and you should have insurance too. And that's something we
Mm-hmm,
also educate on. Our
mm-hmm,
course includes legal
mm-hmm,
forms, so they can
mm-hmm.
take them to their lawyer and just make sure everything is okay for their locality.
Right,
People use them all over the world. But you
right.
you have to have legal forms. You don't know what's going to happen. One gal just posted recently in our Facebook group that a participant got stung by a bee
Right,
and her throat started closing up.
right,
You know, she
right,
was having an anaphylactic reaction. So you really, there's things that we teach that you need to put in place so that, you know, you create a safe environment and you protect yourself legally and you
mhm,
have the right insurance also, which
right,
is important.
right.
So
I mean, I've had
all of
people at
that.
events, they broke their ankle dancing around. You know, we were dancing and whatever, they break their ankle. Now, thank God they're, you know, like a top client or whatever. They're not going to sue me, but they could. They'd be like, you were the one that encouraged us to dance more and everything. It's, you know, don't think it won't happen.
Serious.
It could. You got to be prepared. So
Yes, of
it's good
course.
that you teach about it. Yeah.
It's not silly what you're saying right
Right,
now.
right,
I know
right,
you kind of making a joke of it, but it's
right.
not funny.
It isn't. It
Things
isn't happening.
happen.
Yeah.
People can have a heart attack. You know, people
Yeah.
could have appendicitis. You
Right.
know, you need to know where the nearest hospital is, and there's a lot of things that go behind retreats. So this
And the
is all
retreats I led, there's tornadoes everywhere, although thank God it didn't hit the center. So I don't know if I could be laid to blame for that one too. But you should have warned us. There's tornadoes in there. Oh my God, the things
seriously.
you have to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's fantastic. I think the fact that you were doing all those retreats over all those years with Don Miguel Ruiz and you know you built up all that experience early on. I mean, what do you see as like people that come into this and they get some information from you and but they don't listen to you fully? Like what are some of the biggest mistakes people make with these retreats?
Well, some of the bigger mistakes is they don't listen to our advice, even though they come into our program. But you know, we will always advise, like we have
Mhm,
a pricing sheet that we've created for our
mhm,
program. So it has Excel
mhm,
formulas in it, right? So
mhm,
part of their homework is to submit that. And when we look at that, if we see something that looks unattainable, like it's wonderful that people go, well, I want to have, you know, 30 people on my retreat and I have no list at all. Uh,
mhm.
So we try to advise people, but sometimes people
Mhm,
go, I want to do this, and we're like, okay, we're here for you. Just know that this is not what we would recommend, but if this is
mhm,
what you want to do, you know, okay.
mhm.
So
Mhm.
we have those kinds of situations that can occur.
Yeah.
And sometimes people get a little nervous about the legal forms. They say things like, oh, this is a spiritual retreat. No one's going to sue. I say, but yes, if someone dies, the family can sue.
Right.
So
Right.
you really need to make sure you have forms. I don't care if it's a spiritual retreat. Yes, people are spiritual and they have families that,
They're
you
not
know,
spiritual.
who
Potentially, right? I mean,
want
you've
to
seen it all.
sue.
You're
I
right.
mean,
This is for real. It's not a joke. I
yeah,
mean, I like to laugh and make light of everything, but it's true. I mean, it happens. You're the one that would know.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I've seen almost every bad thing that can happen. And of course, every good thing that can happen.
Right.
So the
Right.
good obviously way outweighs the
Right.
bad,
Right.
but a retreat leader that's educated, prepared, for example, knows all the medications that their people are taking in case they go unconscious and you have to call an ambulance, you could give them that information. Like there's a lot of things that we go through. And it helps then you don't have to stress when you go on your retreat because you already put everything in place before
Right.
your retreat. So if something happens, you know exactly what you're going to do.
Right, right. Yeah, those are such great considerations. I often had wondered, why are they asking me about my medications or whatever? Like, why
Yeah,
do they ask people those questions? Now I understand because, and I kind of understood at the time, but like I didn't really get it. I'm like, why are we going? Because I hadn't ever thought of that for my retreats. I'm not, what meds you got? Or I had never thought of that, right? So it's what you don't know that can unlock so much more opportunity for you and also
right.
can save your ass too, when I say like big time and
Yeah,
help everybody, really. So for
yep.
everybody's highest goods. So you have we only cover so much obviously on a podcast show. You do have an online event that you hold to teach people about this and in depth. So can you tell them more about it? I'd love for you to share that with them.
Yes, I'd love to share, Daniel. Thank you for asking. So this is the fifth year we're doing Rock Your Profitable Sold Out Retreat online event. The majority of it is over 3 days, May 6th through the 8th. And then there's some bonus sessions also. It is a lot of fun. If people cannot attend live for the sessions, because sometimes people work during the day, we record everything and we have a platform we keep them in. And so we make it a lot of fun. You get points when you watch the replays and do the homework and participate. And we have a special Facebook group, so you get to meet people. And a lot of people have met friends in the online event that they've run retreats for because people will introduce themselves and someone will see, wow, that person is doing something like me. We should hook up. So it's
Right.
awesome. And it's a pay what you want event. So they can pay anywhere between $1 and $2.97. If they pay the $2.97, they can have forever access to the replays. So that's always nice.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
a lot of people go, I don't know you from a hole in a wall, Sheri, so I'm going to just pay $1, and that's fine. You're going to be well educated. The event goes like from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's 4 sessions every day of the 3 days, and we cover a
mhm,
lot of marketing. I also explain what's happening in the travel industry right now with retreats and what's selling and what's not selling. And we talk about pricing and we talk about marketing. And I explain why certain aspects of marketing for your retreat is so important. And we talk about monetizing and legalities and all of that. So it is a lot of fun. People will learn a ton. We've had newbies come. We've had very experienced retreat leaders come because sometimes, they've been doing things the same way for a while and they need to up level
right.
and change the way they're doing things. We also have retreat venues that attend and retreat planners come, travel professionals come. So it's really a fantastic event for that. And like I said earlier, like we usually have over 5,000 people coming. It's a riot. It's fun. The energy's high. So they are more than welcome. You have a special link you can use
Yes.
to if folks want to join. And
Mhm.
we also have a lot of fun things going on this year beside that event, but that event is coming up soon. So I recommend people come to that. And if they want to join us in Croatia, they're more than welcome to come to that too. So,
Cool. All right. So we're going to put the link in the show notes for everybody. And
yes,
if they can't find the link for some reason, you guys just reach out to me on social media. I'm happy to give you the link. Okay.
absolutely. Thank you, Daniel.
Sure
That's
thing, sure
wonderful.
thing. And this is definitely one of those. Sometimes I say this, and it's true. Like if you guys take advantage of this, you don't think it was worth your while. I always say I'll refund your money back on some of these deals because I'm like this is a no-brainer in terms of like if you actually want to pursue this at
Yeah.
all and learn more about this, there's no way you're going to walk away thinking like this wasn't worth my time. So you definitely want to take advantage of that.
You
So.
can't get some good tips for $1. Something is actually
Right.
wrong with you, not me, because
Right.
it's high content event. And
Right.
it's
Right.
funny, Daniel, because every year we get people who say, oh my God, if I would have known the event was like this, I would have paid more than $1. I feel bad now. We get that all the time. I'm like, it's fine. We're
That's
happy
funny.
you joined and joined the
Right. Right.
community. So thank you so
Right.
much for everything you do, Daniel. And I appreciate you inviting me on to talk about this because obviously you see I'm very passionate about retreats and I feel like they're so important right now with everything going on in the world. And yeah, I appreciate all you do and the fact that you make it possible to share this information. So thank you.
Absolutely. 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 All right. Well, it's awesome to have you on. I'm looking forward to checking out the event myself too and seeing about it. So, and recommending it to anybody that's talking about doing retreats for sure as well. So,
Thank you.
I'm really grateful you've come on today. And any last words for everybody?
Um, just share that love, get your community together. They need your help, they need your support, they need your hugs. So get out there and do some live events like retreats,
Mhm.
and your community will love you for it. I know that.
Fantastic. Awesome. And everybody that's tuning in, thank you also for tuning in today. And like I always say, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.